Sophie Peterson.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie.
And this is the Tell Your Story podcast, where we have survivors, allies, and victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, gender violence, and more. And today's guest is Alex Ware, autism acceptance advocate. Today's guest is Morgan Shet, doing a lot of great things within her community and more awareness of sexual assault. With me is Ryan Mitchell.
No worries, it's Nina Corcoran.
Sharing his story on being physically abused. Let me introduce you to Austin. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Mom? All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 16 of the Tell Your Story podcast. My name is Q, as you know, and today's guest will be Aubrey. And she's a student from Eastern, and will be sharing her experience of what was the issue that you would like to talk about?
Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome.
That I don't want to butcher it, but that's what she will be sharing today, and you will be getting a little bit more insight into that, what that world is like, and what's been going on with it and stuff like that too, and her own personal stories and experiences with it. So yeah, introduce yourself, Aubrey, to all the listeners and viewers of the podcast.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I am 20 years old and I am a student at Eastern Michigan University studying communications with a minor in theater arts. I'm a student, so that pretty much takes up all my time. And yeah.
Awesome. So to start with this condition that you have, does it like affect your productivity at school, or does it hinder a lot of what you've been doing or what you have been doing, like with how long you ever had it or how long you've been diagnosed with it?
I've been diagnosed with it since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's a disorder in which it occurs in daily long-term users of marijuana, and it causes severe vomiting episodes, and it can lead to kidney failure and even death. So when I had it, yes, it definitely affected my schoolwork and my productivity. I had to go to the hospital a lot, and I will talk more about that. Yeah, it's a pretty tough disorder.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine with like marijuana usage and stuff, I know there's been like the old like saying of like, oh man, marijuana doesn't kill you necessarily or anything like that, but then you hear something like this, and this is the first I ever heard about I heard about conditions such as this. And when you said like even death, even that was like, oh wow. So I mean, what were your first reactions when you were diagnosed, and did you believe it at first? Did you not? What was that reaction like?
I was extremely depressed when I found out, because I have used marijuana since I was 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And originally I started using it because all of my friends were doing it, and I wanted to feel more connected to them, and I wanted to feel like I was a part of a group.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up liking it too much, and it became like a daily thing. So when I found out about CHS and when I found out that I had it, I was at a loss, and it was extremely frustrating to me. I didn't believe it at first, which is why I kept using, and it kept making me even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really it really affected me negatively.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, I feel grateful that I experienced it, because I wouldn't know the life I have now.
Mm-hmm. So with that, what did you tell like friends and family, and when you told friends, what were their reactions more than anything? Because I like you said, you did it for wanting to connect more with your friends because they were doing it and stuff. And then you have this happen. So no, you didn't believe it, but what when you shared with your friends, or if you did share with your friends, what were their reactions to it? Was it like, oh, similar? Was it more like, oh man, like, hey, I hope everything's going good? Or wait, no, that can't be like a real like condition and stuff. You're just making that up.
Well, I've had some people who like couldn't believe it, but my one friend back home who I've known since first grade,
Mm-hmm.
she was like, you need to stop now. And I it was hard for me to stop because I kept wanting to believe that I could keep using it. And I wanted to believe that this wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for me to face it because it's like you've done this thing for so long and you thought it was good for you,
Mm-hmm.
but now all of a sudden it's taken away. And it honestly, it sucked. It sucked. But the friends I do have are very supportive and they understand that I can't do it at all. So they won't do it around me and they won't like show me it or like
Mm-hmm.
have it around me. So I'm grateful for that.
That's good. That's good. It seems like through that process, you were having struggles with it, but in the end, you were able to find a support system that you needed and wanted to get through that, and then
Mhm.
also be able to like have people that also respect like your boundaries and what you're going through and stuff, and making sure that you're good too. So with that said, did you like go down like sort of like a rabbit hole, like a Google search for like what this is about, how long this has been, when this was like recently discovered and stuff like that too? Were you going through that thought process, or was it just like, oh, this is what the doctors say, I'm just gonna go through, not believe it at first, and oh, believe it, and then just try and like deal with it the best way I can? Um,
I definitely went down a rabbit hole. I did a lot of research and I've heard things from doctors too. Like there was this one time I went to urgent care with my grandma and I was in the other room, obviously vomiting. And he asked her, like, oh, does she have CHS after he found out that I was using marijuana? And she was
mhm.
like, yeah. And then he told her that he had two previous patients who had CHS and both of them died.
Mm,
Yeah. So it's very, very serious. And I didn't take it seriously at first, which I regret because I probably would have been so much better if I just stopped altogether.
mhm,
But yeah, I definitely did go down that rabbit hole and I was searching and searching, trying to find an answer. And there's not really an answer. The answer is you just gotta stop
mhm,
because basically, so your brain has cannabinoid receptors and so does your stomach. And when you first smoke marijuana, um, your brain has your brain and your stomach have the effect that you want marijuana to give you, which is like anti-nausea, which
mhm,
is why people who have like chemotherapy or like anxiety, like it's good for them. But when you keep putting it inside you and you keep smoking and you keep using, your brain starts to build up a resistance to it. And so does your stomach. And then your body can't take it anymore. So you reject it. And it's basically like they don't know much about it because
mhm,
it's not heavily researched and it should be because there's dispensaries everywhere in Ipsy
mhm.
and not even just in Ipsy, like all over America. Like there the rise of sorry, the rise of dispensaries are just coming up
Mhm,
and more people are going to have this disorder. And I'm not saying that um, marijuana is bad because I don't think it's bad. I think it should
mhm,
be used medically. But I just want to say like this is something that could happen to you. I'm not saying it will,
Mm-hmm.
but it happened to me, and it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just the like idea of it sounds like controversial in and of itself, even in this like day and time we're in, where like, you know, you're at like a liberal college and like in like a fairly like liberal state, and you know, with like the, you know, the rise and acceptance of marijuana in dispensaries and stuff. um it almost sounds like for a good bit majority of people like fake news, unfortunately. But even there's like some semblance of that, there's still like, hey, there's still like a little bit of hesitancy that should be like that should at least be practiced, especially with like, if this is my first time hearing about it and this is even like a heavily researched topic, then it should be more research, there should be more push for it, especially if it will help others make like better decisions and stuff. And you know, you said like you had it since you were 15, so like
Well,
imagine.
I had it when I started having it when I was a senior in high
Mhm.
school.
Oh,
That, sorry, not to interrupt,
yeah, no, you're good.
but yeah, so um I started smoking when I was 15, and I continued smoking. And then when I was in my senior year of high school, this is when I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was until I was in college. But basically I was having issues where I wouldn't be able to eat right. Like
Mhm.
I would have this fear of vomiting, like I couldn't eat in front of people. And so I would just like not eat as much.
Mhm.
And then it led to some vomiting. And my therapist at the time thought it was like anorexia or bulimia, so she was going to put me into this group for it.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, because at home I would eat because I felt like I had to, and like
Mhm.
I didn't want to alarm anybody, but like my mom knew what was going on,
Mhm.
and we just didn't know what it was. So when I got to college, um I was free from, being under my parents' watch, and I started smoking more and more. And I mostly used like dab carts, if you know what that is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I mostly used those, and those have a high potency of like THC in it. So obviously that wasn't good for me. And then um, I started vomiting like profusely,
Mhm.
and I had to go to the hospital around 7 times that year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just because I was vomiting so much that I was becoming dehydrated, and they had to put IVs in me. There was one time I had to have two IVs in at the same time because it just I wasn't getting any better. And um it was hard. It was hard for me and my family, um because I didn't want to stop,
Mhm.
and it just made it worse and worse. And um it just really put a strain on us, and a strain on me, because I was just so frustrated and so angry with the world. I thought I was going to die. Like I remember being in that hospital bed being like, am I going to make it to the next day? Cuz it didn't feel like it. Um yeah, it's very serious. Sorry to go off topic.
No, you're good. No, and sorry for saying that you had it since 15. What I meant was you've been smoking since 15,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah, but even like then, it sounds like it was just like it just sounds like there's just been an overloading of like the chemicals that's like going on within like your body in and of itself, especially starting from like a very young age too, because like our brains don't even develop till like age 25, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's like very interesting. and you know it sucked that you had to go through all that too. Trust me, I understand. I had like a life-threatening heart condition when I was like a baby,
Oh,
and had to like practically like move from like home to school to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for a lot of the time too, so I understand. It sucks. It really does, especially being
yeah.
like put on like being like instead of like a lot of IV tubes and all this other stuff too, and doing tests and all this other stuff. So I can only imagine what that was like. And just like just the fact that you weren't able to stop yourself too, and how much that like affected. Because like I I would like understand too if I was in your same shoes. Like, oh wait, what? I'm gonna die from continue use of marijuana use? What? Yeah, right. And then it's like, oh wait, no, I need to actually like take care of myself and stuff. What was the point when you were like, oh, I need to stop this and try to turn my life around? And what and how was the journey? I know like the journey had to be particularly hard, especially because of the self-discipline you have to like do, especially not like smoking marijuana all that much.
If I can pinpoint it, it would probably be the beginning of 2020, but I've relapsed since then. I'm currently 4 months sober, almost five.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Um, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. Um, I I'm trying to think of like how to word this. Um, yeah, it wasn't easy. And I had to use the resources around me to push me forward.
Mm-hmm.
I joined this group called Smart Recovery, and I've been in it since 2020. Um, it's a good group. It basically it stands for self-management and recovery training, I think. And it's basically instead of like how AA is run, like how there's like a force that like makes you do it,
Mm-hmm.
or like how like you don't really get punished in AA, but like it's relapse is like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
In Smart, sobriety is seen not as like a choice, but like it's in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like you make the choices every day to move forward. And that was initially hard for me because I, I'm like very weak around marijuana. Like if
Mm-hmm.
somebody I have to completely not be around it, because like if somebody offers me it, like I'm just powerless. I'll just take it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Smart really helped out with a lot of it. I have friends who are like 2 years sober, and I like really look up to them, and I want to get there too.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot to turn your life around, and I really think I'm doing it now. I'm honestly like super proud of myself, and I can see that the people around me are proud of me too, because I'm really making the changes that I need to, and I'm staying sober, and it's honestly not as bad as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's really good. That you're able to find that resource too, especially like around like the start of the pandemic too, like and how much that like probably affected like your own like mental health and stuff like that too. Especially be just quarantine and stuff. Um, so with that, what what is it that in this instance, since you understand like the condition that you have and stuff like that too, um what would you think would be like the best I guess the best like course of action in terms of like research of like people using and stuff like that? Like, what do they look like? What would that be like?
That's an interesting question because it's kind of tough to research it, especially because people may be unwilling to do it. There was actually a study done. I forget the amount, but like 10 people dropped out of 20.
Mm,
I think that's the numbers. Don't quote me on that.
okay.
But um yeah, like it's hard to get people involved in that because they don't want to stop smoking. And um it's hard to quantify it too,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to take into account like how long they've been smoking, what are they smoking,
Mm-hmm.
what are their symptoms, stuff like that. So I feel like it would be very tough to research it, even though like it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how they'd go about that, but I'd be interested to see how they would, because it's definitely something that's going to rise. Like cases are going to rise.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everybody's using it. Not everybody, but like
Mm-hmm. A
a
good,
lot, a
yeah.
good amount. Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah, especially
So
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was just gonna say like, especially with like how like culture has been against like marijuana use and stuff like that too,
Mhm.
and how like that has been like demonized and vilified too. So with with like all this stuff, it's like going to be interesting, and it's going to be really really messy too, especially just thinking about like the possibilities and like how like people from like the political side of things will like try and use this and all this other stuff too. And it's not like me not wanting this to happen, but it's just me seeing like what this will actually look like once more of this stuff like pops up, more research is done and stuff like that. And then it'll be like hopefully an eventual like change of law of how to like properly like conduct like a lot of this stuff too. Um so with with that, what would you say against like those who are like still like using or and don't necessarily believe you, and or those that are like just now using it and just want to stop, like what would you like say to them, especially like hearing this out?
Are you saying like people who use it and have it?
Yeah.
Okay. I literally the only way it'll end is if you stop.
Mhm,
And I know that's not easy at all, but um yeah, it you just need to stop. And as hard as that sounds, there are ways that you can stop. You can get in support with groups like SMART or like NA. You can, for me personally, I like to write. So I wrote a lot of poetry about it. And that kind of helped me because I was turning something really dark into art.
mhm,
And lean on your support systems like your family, your friends, like they're there to help you. Get into therapy. Therapy has helped me immensely, and it's honestly a nice way of seeing like how far your progress can go. um it's important that if you have it you stop, because it's chances are it will kill you if you keep going.
mhm. And what about those that don't have it? What would you say to them? Um, Especially if they might also know someone that has it as well too.
If they're smoking, I would say this isn't like a this is going to happen to you.
Mhm,
This is something you need to watch out for, because it could happen to you.
mhm,
um it's important that you like watch out for those signs, and you like, if you're curious about it, talk to those around you. Like after this podcast, like if anybody needs to reach out to me and talk about it, I'm totally open for that. um it's important that you have support, and it's important that you know that this is something that could happen, because it's definitely very scary and it's not something you want to like look in the face,
Mm-hmm.
but it happened to me, so it could happen to you, not saying it will.
Mm-hmm. Man, I can I can just only imagine just how much just sort of like flip like your world upside down, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and thank God that you're at like a better place now, even though like it's been rough, but you're still at like a good point where you're here, you're 6 feet above ground,
Yeah.
going to school and doing your best and stuff like that too, and finding the support and love that you have, and just being able to share their story. And I also didn't even get to ask this. What 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 is like the relationship with your family now and stuff, like after everything that's happened? Um,
We have the most beautiful relationship. I love my family so much. My mom and I are like best friends, and my dad is always there to support me. And my brother and I, even though we don't talk very often, I know he loves me. We're all so close, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I was talking to them and I told them that I was sorry for everything that I have done and that how that happened. And they told me not to feel guilty about it, because I was just living in a world where I didn't know my way yet. And I was just trying to find my way. And there's no need to feel guilt in that. And I'm just honestly so lucky to have them. Um, I love them all so much.
that's awesome. That's awesome. You were
Yeah.
able to, yeah, no problem. Just be able to have like such a beautiful relationship after everything that's happened. And I can only imagine it's been hard, um, on all you guys, especially like dealing with a condition such as this. Um, and it takes a lot of strength being able to have to be like, all right, I need to be able to figure out a way for me to like quit doing this and take the steps necessary to do this, or even just being able to just go through to 7 visits at the hospital, having IVs and stuff, and dealing with all that crap,
Yeah.
and just it's a different like feeling of like being of having like a medical condition that you can't really get away from, but that you can like manage the best that you can, um and hope that you that and hope for the best, and that you live your life the best way you can in spite of that medical condition, because like at the end of the day, it's not a part of you, but it doesn't necessarily take over your life, if that makes sense, I
Yeah.
guess. you know um
Yeah.
and that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. um
Hmm.
and it's something that I wouldn't wish on even my own worst enemy. Like just like imagine just shifting through like the American healthcare system, just all just put up in like
Yeah.
just stuff, and like the last thing we're about is like, how much am I gonna get charged for the hospital? No.
Yeah, that was a big frustrating thing with that too.
Mhm.
Not a lot of doctors know about it either. Like it's not like there were some doctors that I saw, and when I told them they had CHS, they were like, "What's that?"
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, like it's not really talked about often, which is why like I wanted to come on here and I wanted to raise awareness for it, because it's something that needs to be talked about, because it's going to happen more often.
Hmm.
Um, it's scary. It's very, very scary. But I made it through the other side, and
Hmm.
I'm honestly proud of myself, because that takes strength. And I'm proud of anybody who has decided to quit marijuana or drugs in general, because that's a tough journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like, and like for me, I don't think I would like stop smoking necessarily, like at least for myself personally, but I would at least have the respect and common courtesy. Like if I were to know someone such as yourself of like the condition and everything, then I wouldn't smoke around you or smoke even near you even. Just for like the simple fact of just how much just from this talk that we had of how much it like affected you, your life, and have an understanding of it enough to where like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna smoke around this or smoke as often. But I would at least like to like know more information about it and see like what areas there are that can be help that where there is help or where there can be help. So with that, do you know would you blah, I can't speak today. Um would you like to share like where people can find these resources online specifically? Where did you have to go through to shift through all the information to find? Because I imagine there wasn't a whole lot to really begin with.
Um, so I went on Google and I just looked up cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. And I think the first thing that comes up is like cedarsinai.org, I think, which
Mm-hmm.
is, I think it's a hospital in California. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure, but it has a bunch of like symptoms and like informational stuff about CHS. And there's also groups on like Reddit, r/CHS info is a good one. There's some Facebook groups too. There was one I was in that was cannabinoid hyperemesis recovery, but I think it got taken down for some reason. I can't find it anymore. Um, yeah, like if you look it up, there's a ton of websites and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that that can help, but there's not a lot of like the only resources like to stop marijuana out there is for the ones that are like for addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I forget, I can't really think of any websites on the top of my head right now about
Mm-hmm.
that. But I know there's a ton of resources out there. Like Smart Recovery is a good one. That's the group I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have like a bunch of like online meetings you can join for that. NA, um, yeah, there's some good resources out there.
For sure. Before we go on, just so if any of you guys that are listener viewers of this are marijuana or cannabis users, don't like jump down the throats of us or make this like any crazy than anything. It's just like sharing information out so that way people can like make the best decisions possible too. You know, like we live in an age where this information is a thing, and like that's the last thing I want to do and want to provide information the same as Aubrey. So
Oh yeah, and the last thing I want is to like have anybody feel like they're being attacked, because
mm-hmm.
I'm solely just here to provide information and share my story.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want anybody to think that like I'm coming at them for smoking marijuana, because that's ultimately their choice.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, I don't think marijuana is necessarily a bad thing. Um, it can lead to addiction and it can lead to CHS, but there's also tons of benefits for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to put that out there too.
Yeah, but you know, like with any drug or anything, it's about moderation. It's about moderation really, and
Mhm.
really just making sure that you're not overextending yourself to where it affects your like your life outside of it, whether it's like your own personal finances, relationships, or anything like that too. You know, and like at the end of the day, like I would rather like a good bit of us be able to know a little bit more so that way more of us can live through like these times of like COVID, political division that's going on, things that's going on in the world and stuff like that too. Because in all honesty, I'm like really tired of the negativity, and
Oh yeah, me
it's, and
too.
it's not like I don't want negativity. It's just like, and I know negativity is a part of life, but it's like you don't see enough like more things or more people really combating against negativity, and really like showing like really the best side of ourselves too, um especially like with us being more connected than ever before and having
Mhm.
the most information that we have at our disposal like at this day and age right now. um so again, this is like Aubrey said, this is not an attack on you or anyone listening, and this isn't you guys wanting to come down and jump your throat. Even though I probably don't have a lot of people following anyway, but you never know. You never know. But just want to share the information that's out there. I'll make sure to put in links to these information and resources as well too for people to do their own research as well. And also just want to be able to make sure that this is a space for people to share without judgment, without people vilifying them and stuff like that too, because you know what, no one needs it. No one needs to be vilified,
Mhm.
especially over the internet. No one cares if you're
Yeah.
like if you're a keyboard warrior wanting to spout your next opinion on the next person that opinion. Like, come on, like we have a lot of things better to do. We need to live through like pandemic, figure out how to pay bills, and tax season is coming up, ladies and gents and non-binary
Oh yeah.
folks. So tax season is fun. um, but yeah, with that, what what would you say are going to be like your next steps, like moving forward and stuff like that too? And with that, with your background and interest into like theater and stuff, are you gonna like sort of like bring like sort of like some of elements of the life into what you're doing and stuff, sort of like you said, make your pain art, so to speak. But don't know if I'm really saying that right, but yeah.
You're good. Honestly, I was thinking about like going around to like high schools and speaking about this stuff.
Hmm.
I think that would be a good move for me. Um, I still want to do theater. I'm never giving up theater.
Hmm.
I I want to continue to act. Um, and I just want to continue raising awareness about this stuff because it's definitely important. Um, yeah, I really want to do something good for the world
Hmm.
by spreading this information because hopefully like it reaches someone out there who doesn't know they have it
Hmm.
and now they know what to do.
Yeah, definitely. Even though there might be a lot of noise, it's still like good to at least have one person to listen to this,
Mhm.
and at least there be more awareness of it too, at least, especially with this like being like marijuana related and stuff too, and like how big of a thing that was like that long ago. you know
Yeah.
so right now we're also just living in like very interesting times too, where a lot of change can happen, a lot of change cannot happen. But
Mhm.
it's like really like that fine like line of light that what you can do, what you can do, and how much that's going to really like propel like people for the next like 5 to 10 years too. um
Mhm.
with that, what are your last words and affirmations for people out there that have it, don't have it, that are listening, or to any like doctors that are out there or researchers even too? What would you like to say to all of them that might be listening?
Let me think about that for a second. Um, I will say, even though people say this a lot and I used to hate it, but it does get better. Absolutely, 100%. Um, you may be stuck in a time right now where you don't know what to do and you don't want to give this up, but just do what you can to put it down, try your hardest, and it will get better. You will move forward. It's important that doctors know that this is a thing in the first place. So hopefully we can get more researchers involved with it. And it's important that everybody knows that this is a thing because um, it it's something to watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something to watch out for in your friends. It's something to watch out for in your family. It's just important to keep a watchful eye
Mm-hmm.
so that way you know what to do. And staying sober isn't easy. I still have urges and stuff like that, like almost every day. But the one thing that I learned in SMART is that urges, they only last like a couple minutes. If you can just ride the wave, then you can just, it will be out of your mind and you will be okay.
Mm. That's good advice for any and everyone, really, especially when it comes to like quitting something too. I know I'm trying to quit like a very bad habit slash like addiction at the moment and stuff too. So I'm sort of like going through like my own like journey with that too. So that also like, touches me like close to heart, hearing that. But with that, thank you for coming on to the podcast, Aubrey,
Thank you.
and sharing your story. You're welcome. Um, I wish the best for your sobriety and your journey of it, and hope that you have many more years of sobriety, and living a wonderful, beautiful life, and being able to share this information. Um, and I wish the best for you, and really hope that there is more research done into this, and
Mhm.
hopefully there could be a solution, or at least a better way to be able to manage that, because I know not everything that's like studied or researched can be like treated or anything like that, but at least there could be something to where it can at least be better managed and stuff. um so with that, thank you guys for for tuning in, and listening to the podcast. Let you guys know when our next podcast will be up, but until then, I'll say bye. And Aubrey, would you like to say bye to the viewers and listeners?
Thank you for listening.
All right. Well, with that, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.